Right, everybody, I have literally just found out this is the only stage with air conditioning. You probably all know this, which is, you're here today, obviously, because of these two wonderful people and because it's cool. I feel like the luckiest woman here today. Anyway, closing out this morning's sessions on the brewery stage, we have Curry's brand and marketing director, Dan Rubel, and AMV's Group Chief Strategy Officer, Joe Arden. They're both discussing the 2-year marketing transition that's helped them build the case for long-term sales building. Dan and Joe are going to go beyond what they did and try to get into the how. So how Curry's and AMV made an active decision not to settle on good, but to aim higher. How they set out to do that and why they decided to do it together. This is a candid chat about ambition, teamwork, and holding your nerve. Over to you.
Hi there. Can you hear me? Yes, lots of thumbs up. That's great. I'm afraid one of the downsides of being in the one air-conditioned room is that you have to listen to us. But I'm sure that you can endure that. And we've been told not to be boring. I do usually find most conferences boring, which is why I don't go to many of them. And that's precisely why I'm here, because this one is different. So we won't be talking about how creativity is important. No shit, Sherlock. We won't be talking about consistency. Yes, that's important too. We won't be talking about AI even. But we will be talking about a journey that we've been on in Curry's from good to great. Not my words, but you know, the results speak for themselves. And more importantly, some interesting nuggets about how we embarked on and did that journey, which we hope will be useful for you guys.
And I've got sort of 2 jobs today. So the first one is to tell the agency story as part of that journey. I'm quite a newbie to AMV, so I'm blatantly goal-hanging on all the brilliant work that my colleagues have done, but you'll forgive me for that. My second and arguably most important job today is Dan's promised not to be boring. I've not known him that long, but I think that might be quite a tough gig. So I'm going to keep him honest by asking some of the tough questions. But before we get into that, shall we show a bit of the work as it stands today?
Yes, cue the campaign itself.
At Curry's, we're full of laptop knowledge.
We're doing everything we can to help you save energy.
Because when you save energy, you save money too. To the tills.
We can take that tired telly and give you up to £250 off a new one.
That's laptop rage. Laptop rage.
Laptop rage. I'll handle this.
Well, you didn't need to bring your fridge to us, Eddie. We'll come out to you to repair your washing machines, dishwashers, ovens, and even that fridge of yours.
We invited some die-hard online shoppers to remember the benefits of buying their tech IRL.
Excuse me, do we need a password?
No, just walk in.
Oh!
I know. I know. Lag. 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 Lag.
I travel a lot and I often work on the go.
Well, the Acer ZenBook A14 Copilot Plus PC is not only light and has all-day battery life, but you can whiz through work using recall to easily find files to remember things you've seen using simple prompts.
Love it. What was that first bit again?
For some, it can be a little overwhelming. They miss the pinches and zooms and the scrolls and all that. Sorry, look, there's no need to swipe.
Probably just stick to polish next time, Eddie.
G-Unit. I don't know what I'd do without you.
Oh, Eddie, too much love.
Try the Lenovo Yoga range.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What the? He'll give us 250 quid for our telly. How much?
£250.
Can I get next day delivery?
You could just take it now.
Thank you, Curry's man.
Hello! Saving energy, baby.
Thank you.
By the way, my real name's not Saucy Boy 22. It's Ted.
Curry's, beyond expectations.
Okay, so nice to see mainly smile. Oh, a little smash of applause. Why not? Nice to see lots of smiles there, a few sniggers. And, you know, this is a campaign that's doing really well for us, which we'll talk a bit more about later. But the more interesting thing, as I said, is the journey that we've been on. And so let's just take 30 seconds this time, not 2 minutes, a 30-second glimpse about where we were 2 years ago, because for the last 2 years we've been doing that. Before that, we were doing this.
Bad question. What's special about the Lenovo Yoga? So, Intel Evo laptops give you a superior performance, says Ugo. And with just a 15-minute charge, you get up to 3 hours battery life. Is it good for working remotely? Let me check. Thanks, Ugo. And like all our experts, he'll leave no question unanswered. Whoa, that's remote. So he knows when he says, the lightweight and incredible battery life means you can work anywhere. And he knows it's interest-free at just $49.95 a month for 24 months at Currys.
And I'll be honest, as we were running this campaign, you know, we were happy. It was doing well. The ROI was good. The brand perceptions were going in the right direction. The business was doing well. Most importantly, the CEO was happy. Senior stakeholder group was happy. Not most importantly, but it's a factor. And so, you know, it was in good shape. Good shape.
Yeah, and it was from an agency perspective as well. I think we would share that view. It's like, yeah, it's good. You know, we're making some work, making lots of work actually, and that's not to be sniffed at. But were we super excited about it? Maybe not.
That's right. And you know, this kind of crystallized when I had a moment with the then CEO of AMV, Sam Hawkey. I don't think he's here because he's really tall, and I think I'd see him if he was in the audience. You know, I asked him a question. A few drinks may have been consumed at this point. But I asked him a question. I said, you know, do we feature on your creds when you pitch in for new work? You know, do we feature in the conversation about winning awards? I know we're big, I know we're important, but do we feature there? And the honest answer was no, we don't. And, you know, we came to the thought in that meeting that that wasn't good enough for a big account like us and for us, for a big business like us. You know, you live once, you do this job once, and we wanted to do something special.
Yeah, and I both admire and slightly fear you for asking that awkward question, because you've taught the people in the agency's toes must have been curling. I think you could feel in the agency from speaking to colleagues in the creative team that sort of lack of excitement about it was matched in their world as well. So I think it was work that people made, but I don't think it was work that went in their portfolios. And that's not where any client, especially a client which is a big high street retailer like yours, wants to be. So, awkward question. And I think lots of marketeers in the room might be going, I know what I'd have done. Why didn't you fire us? Call a pitch.
Well, no one posed the question at the time. Maybe you should have posed that at the time. And
I take that back.
Don't know where we'd have gone. But no, that wasn't our instinct. You know, our instinct was we'd never explicitly set the ambition there. We'd never explicitly said we want to be special, we want to win awards, we want to have an ROI that is off the scale as opposed to just being very, very good. And so we wanted to create the conditions that would allow that. We wanted to give ourselves as a team and the agency the environment to deliver it, and that we did. So, you know, 6 months after what you see there, we launched our new campaign. So I'll just, you've seen bits of it before. I'll just share a 30-second version of it now, and then we'll talk a bit about how.
Currys, we receive 40 hours of training. Expertise creates wisdom, and wisdom creates beards. This Hisense Mini LED TV is perfect for movies. When the customers walk in, they see a beard, they can feel safe in the knowledge that they're going to get the best possible assistance. You need anything? You're hungry?
This side is the freezer.
Hungry for knowledge.
Currys, experts beyond expectations.
I absolutely love that work, and I think it's every time I watch it, I find it both funny, but also I'm like surprised again that we made it, because it's really bold. You know, it's quite out there. When you watch it back, you go, it's still pretty out there. I think there's part of this story where you go, oh, it's another sort of agency-client relationship where they go, oh, we decided to be better and so we just were. And I know that you personally have spent a lot of time reflecting on how that happened, and we've had a few conversations now about how do you go from making work which is a bit predictable, good but a bit predictable for a category, into making work which is properly disruptive and interesting. And I know that it's the sort of how that you're more exercised by, isn't it, than the what.
Yeah, definitely. And so there's probably three things. There's more to it, but there's three things that I think enabled us to get from where we were to where we are. One was we simply stopped settling for good. Two is that we made the space to make that more than just a dream. And third, we used data, because data can be a huge enabler of creativity and of step change. Oops-a-daisy. There goes the water. So what do I mean by stop settling? Well, it started with that conversation with Sam, but really it then became an ethic across the joint team. You know, as I said, we live once. We get to do this brilliant career in marketing once. And we didn't want to settle for good. We made that statement in our own minds. We made it explicitly. We made it to others that we're just simply not going to accept any work when it comes to this new campaign that wasn't outstanding, that wasn't career-defining, that wasn't legacy-making, and that couldn't win awards and, as I say, take customer and commercial impact to an unbelievable level.
I think you've probably just opened yourself up to about 40 inbound agencies, because everybody wants to hear their clients say that they want to make bolder, more ambitious work. I think from an agency perspective as well, like the best client agency partnerships match each other. And I like to think about it as like, maybe slightly an odd analogy, but when you see horses racing against each other and like one starts going and the other one starts going, and I feel like that's what happened. Like, you know, you went, come on, let's set the pace, and then our team started setting the pace. And you could feel it in the agency, you know, suddenly Currys is the account that everyone's going, get me on that, there's a new brief from Currys in, I want to work on it. And that's where you should be, quite frankly, but not where we were in the past. But, I mean, amazing language, like just stop settling. It sort of tells us where we need to go.
Nice.
I think the next thing we want to talk about is this, and so I've only been at the agency for just coming up to 4 months, and this is the thing that people talk about most actually with the Currys story, is that you made the space for it. You know, we're coming off the back of Cannes. I imagine lots of agencies in the room are in that position now where their clients are going, you know, outside of the BAU, let's do bold work, which I always find a bit of an odd sentiment. You know, let's do something different, but on the periphery with no budget in your spare time. You didn't do that. You went, this is not a different thing. This is the thing. This is the thing we're going to do. And I love how you talk about carving out the space and the intention to make it a reality.
Yeah, that's right. Just put your hands up if you work in retail or on retail accounts. Oh, that's quite a big portion. Well, I've worked in retail, and I've worked in FMCG, and I've worked in some other categories. And I've never worked on anything that's more fucking relentless than retail. We do around 140 advertising campaigns a year. We do around 5 or 6 pieces of organic content every week. We're constantly building stuff in the stores and doing stuff online. Those of you who might see me on LinkedIn, I'm always celebrating like the tiny tip of the iceberg of this stuff, but it's relentless. And there is no way we would have made a dent and created this kind of campaign if we'd have tried to do it off the side of the desk or in the BAU. You know, we made the conscious choice to make space, to schedule this thing as a project, to not make it time-bound, to not insist that it launched on a certain date with a certain campaign. And had we not made that space, we simply wouldn't have got to where we got to.
Yeah, and I think it's testament to the way that we work together now. It's like, you know, everybody carves out the right time for the briefs. And that's not to say we're slow. I mean, geez, it's a retail account, it's fast. But I think headspace, mind space, intention that everybody brings to it, that's carried on, you know, from 6 months ago to today. The final one of your themes I really love, like totally preaching to the choir, love data. And it's not that as an organisation you are averse to data, you are data-centric. You know, you pre-test stuff, we test with System 1, shout out to them if they're somewhere, no doubt, around. But we also sort of use data from the retail environment, from customers. And I know that you've done marketing mix modelling too. So the fact that you use data is no shit Sherlock, right? But in this particular story, there was a catalyst which made you go, I just really want to check the details and the numbers. And I wonder if you could just tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, there was a catalyst. Just before I say that, you know, sometimes I hear marketers and advertising people almost bad-mouthing the use of data, resisting it, saying that it constrains creativity, saying it's not really their bag. I hate that. It's like a finance person saying I don't do numbers, or an artist saying I don't do paintbrushes. Data is key. You know, you can't just be led by it. It's not kind of, we're not automatons. Sometimes we have to see past the data or see through it. But if you're not into data, you're not really into marketing, so find a new industry. But if I ignore that, yeah, data was critical for this, because once we'd bought the work, once we'd said, yes, we love this thing because it's a big idea, it's focused on our USP of amazing colleagues who go above and beyond with their expertise, you know, we made that bold step, and it was quite bold because it's weird. You just saw it. It's a bit weird. Every ad is a bit weird. We then shot it. We didn't have a chance to test it as a script. And then we edited it, and it looked great. And then we were close to airing it, and I actually started to write an email to Alex Bird over there. And the email started with, mate, I'm sorry, but. And the email, I don't quite know how far I got, but I definitely wrote, I'm sorry, but. And then I followed my own advice, and I actually rang him rather than sending an email. And I was going to say, look, I think we're going to have to pull the campaign. We had something else we could air. I'm wobbling too much. It's too weird. All this stuff with beards and strange performances. I don't think I can stand behind it. You know, I think that maybe I'm going to get some grief from upstairs that I'm not going to find very pleasurable. Anyway, Alex talked me down. Alex reminded me why we loved it in the first place, and then reassured me with the fact that we did have it in testing in System 1, pre-airing it, and therefore we'd be able to see the truth about how many people love it, how many people don't love it quite so much. So I calmed down, I waited for the results, and the results were excellent. We've got our best ever score, still, actually now it's our second best ever score for that execution. And yeah, there was probably double the amount of negativity that we've had in the past, but it was still tiny, and the positivity absolutely outstripped it. So the data gave me the confidence. The data gave us the confidence to do something bold, do something a little bit scary. And you know, since then, we've got a campaign that's now almost 2 years old, has delivered excellent ROI, excellent step changes in perceptions, is being mentioned at the beginning of statements to the city, for example, by the CEO, that colleagues and customers are excited by, that importantly, my friends and family proactively, and all the people that work on it, I see Martin here today and others, all the people that work on it get the proactive comments as well. You know, you feel it. You feel when it's special, and this one is. And we even get emails like this. It's a real email. It's one of many. I get every email that comes in where it's people aren't really liking the adverts. It comes to me. At the beginning of this campaign, there was about 7 or 8 a week from zero. And we love that. We love that there's some negativity out there because we're making a wave. We've got 3 hours left. Great. So that is our campaign. That is our story. I hope you found it a little bit interesting.
Yeah, it's and I love that we're standing on the stage underneath this. I mean, it might be a slightly career-limiting move, but we're in it now. But if you can make people care one way or another, I think you're doing a pretty good job. Now, there is a final bit that I want to talk about because it's a team sport, this advertising lark. And one of the consequences of having such an incredible, solid brand platform, which allows us to push the creative and push the tone, is that other parts of the organisation have ditto replicated that sort of pace of change. I think a big shout out to your social team, and anybody who doesn't follow Currys on social, get on it now. It is one of the best things that you can do with your spare time. And we don't do that as an agency. We do a tiny bit of it, but part of a wider ecosystem. In the final 2 minutes, tell us a little bit about that, because it's super special.
Yeah, well, this is where, you know, an advertising campaign can inspire the rest of the system. You know, I see a few faces around the room. I see Stuart McDonald and Jeff Vargas. Jeff, over here, over here. I see Stuart McDonald and Jeff Vargas over there, who run our creative and content team. And their work, their output was simultaneously inspired and step changed by this. Indeed, it worked backwards. Some of the lines you see in the ads now are from that team, because we're such a well-gelled group of marketeers. I see a blast from the past, Sol Lopez over there, who used to be our head of CRM, and now is in pastures, well, not new anymore, pretty old now. But similarly, in CRM, for example, they've been inspired. The creativity and humor going through that channel, and therefore the engagement performance of that channel has step changed. And in social, you know, we've just won a Cannes Bronze for the work we've done on social. It's not mimicking the Beyond Expectations campaign, but it's definitely inspired by it. You'll see the connections, and you'll see it for yourself now. So thanks for listening. Cue a 1.5 minute video.
The Brett Summer at Currys, my guys.
The cutting edge performance.
Shutter sound easy.
Cool beans. Pixar, it didn't happen.
You can see people are going crazy for our epic deals.
got a social media team, and they're very clever. They've done an advert that looks like a kind of midlife version of TikTok.
Shutterstock Music.
New air fryer. What do you say?
Shutterstock Music.
Slay Queen.
Shutterstock Music.
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Wonderful, guys. Thank you so very much.